News Radio 84 WHAS with your news on demand anytime at WHAS.com and on Facebook. Depend on it.
Thank you, Jim. 708-84 WHAS. Tony Cruz, Cindy Sullivan, and Dr. Gerald Edelman joining us about breakfast. That's great timing, Gerald, by the way. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? I hope things are going well for you. Some studies that show skipping breakfast may or may not be all that bad, huh?
Most of us think that you're definitely breaking a fast when you wake up in the morning. I mean, that's what breakfast means. Mm-hmm. So whenever you start to eat, I think the important thing to do is to make sure you eat the right stuff. I don't think most of us in the field think that skipping breakfast is a good idea, just because of what you're going to probably end up eating later, which is not protein and more of a sugary type food in most cases. What do you think?
I definitely am a break-fast person. Mm-hmm. Blood sugar levels. I mean, this study is it's one of these iffy ones to me, Dr. Edelman, anyway, because it doesn't look at any other aspects of weight loss. It's just that weight outcome. And there could be lots of other factors that could be affecting these people's weight loss or not. But just physiologically, though, let's talk about what happens with your body when you do eat breakfast and when you don't eat breakfast.
Right. Well, I think what happens when you break fast properly is, you feed your body a good protein source is a good example when you wake up and when you finally do break your fast. And what happens when you do that is your body does not produce insulin spikes, and it doesn't go through peaks and valleys, and it doesn't end up making you want to eat an hour, 2 hours later after you break your fast because you've eaten good protein source, maybe a little bit of good fat. If you're on the other hand, you wake up in the morning and you're eating a bagel or you're eating something like a pastry, which would be something we've never done, right?
Right.
No Pop-Tarts in this room.
Yeah.
Your body goes through these for about an hour. It's satisfied, but then it peaks because the insulin levels in your bloodstream spike. Your blood sugar goes down afterwards, and then you're hungry again, usually for more of that kind of food. So what I think is really interesting is when you break your fast, if you break it with sweets or with something that turns into sugar, you're going to eat more calories throughout the day because of the peaks and valleys. If you feed your body protein and some fat, an example would be some eggs, maybe some lean turkey sausage, and you eat like that, you're going to end up eating less calories during the day because you don't go through the peaks and valleys. That's what I think is important.
So you're saying our peanut yogurt candy bars are really not that great? This is very disappointing.
Yeah, well, the only good part about your peanut candy bar is it's got a little protein in that. But that's all masked and smothered with all the sugar that's probably in it. You have one of those bars in front of you?
No comment, doctor. I plead the fifth. No, I mean, seriously, there are so many breakfast cereals and breakfast foods. If you went down the aisle, it sounds like there'd be very little you'd recommend as far as...
No, well, I wrote a book called Sugar Rehab, which I encourage folks to buy. It's a small book. It's not expensive. But I actually did all the work for you. I listed foods that are okay to buy in the grocery store and foods that aren't okay to buy. And so if you just follow those lists in your home, you will have foods that you can indulge in. And I don't believe in counting calories. I don't believe in counting the total amount of anything during the day. I don't think human beings were evolved to do that. I just think in any one sitting, you have to be aware of how much sugar they have in packaged foods.
Yeah, what about carbs?
Yeah, so I try to limit the way people think to sugars and not carbs because I think it's too complicated. People get lost in what's a carbohydrate versus what's sugar. If you just follow the simple rule of not buying anything with more than 2 grams or 3, but I like to stay with 2 grams per sugar per serving, and you don't eat anything that has more than that, you'll be fine. Everything falls into place, and it's listed out in the book.
So, Dr. Edelman, I'm going to take off a little bit on a phrase that you used. You said your body will be craving more of that kind of food when you're specifically talking about sugars. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're feeding your body sugar, it just wants more.
Yeah, so the book I wrote is Sugar Rehab because sugar is a toxin and it's an addiction, right? What happens when you eat, let's imagine that in the morning you wake up and you have an unlimited amount of steaks and an unlimited amount of butter to break your fast with. Well, you're not really going to overeat because if you think about it, that's a very rich source of food. body's going to eat just enough. But if you wake up in the morning and you're eating pastries and donuts, you're going to get these spikes that we've been talking about where you're satisfied for an hour and then all of a sudden you get low in your blood sugar as a response. Now you're going to want more sugar. What I like to say is the steaks and the butter on the surface in one meal has more calories in it, perhaps. But what happens because of eating the sweets and going through peaks and valleys is the cumulative amount of calories you eat throughout the day is higher.
Good stuff. Doc, we appreciate your time. Great to talk to you again.
It's great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
So Dr. Gerald Edelman joining us. Thank you, Cindy. We'll be back with more coming up here with the Morning Team. Your video of the day on the way with 84 WHAS.